Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome everyone here this morning. I'm Sherry Slater, for those of you who don't know me. And I was fortunate enough in my career to spend some time working at Piers. If you didn't get to do that, it's a shame because it's a really great place. And there was a time when I said that was really kind of the happiest place on earth here in Onslow County. You get to hear the kids playing, you get to have good snacks and good coffee because we were able to make our own there at the time, which was a big deal. And it's just a place where you get to see a little glimpse of what the future can be for Onslow County when we do something for our children. I want to take a moment to welcome everyone here, and I want to welcome our elected officials. We have our commissioners, Chairman Jack Bright, Commissioners Bennett, Commissioner Price, and Commissioner Scott. I don't think I missed anyone. And then we also have our judges, Judge Shanahan and Judge Bateman, with us this morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming as well. We have our sheriff, Hans Miller, with us. Thank you, sir, for coming. And then we have a few other folks I'd like to recognize. Chief Mike Yanero from our Jacksonville Police Department and Colonel Thomas with our Sheriff's Office. Thank you guys for coming. If you're a Piers board member, please raise your hand and give a wave. Thank you all for the work that you do and the time you put in as volunteers for Piers. And then our Piers staff, thank you all. Where are you guys, Piers staff? Thank you for putting this on this morning. I know you guys worked really hard on it. So if you would bow your heads with me and we'll say a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for the hearts and minds and lives here that are dedicated to work that you think is important. Lord, we appreciate that when you touch the life of a child, you touch the future of our nation. Thank you for the talents that are brought to this table and the efforts that folks put in to make our families whole again, to help them, Lord, to grow and to gain the strengths and the tools that they need to do better. Because that's what we hope for, Lord, is that tomorrow is better than today. Lord, bless this food to us and us to your service. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And I'll recognize now Tandria Leach, who's our Piers Director, and she's going to begin our program this morning.
Thank you, Senior Services, for my step up. I appreciate it because I was a little bit short. So I have to calm myself. So I'm so excited to see all of you guys here. Thank you all so much for bringing yourselves here, your families here, coming out to celebrate Piers' birthday. I just want to go ahead and title on myself. I have a speech, but I'm really bad at going by my speech. Okay, so thank you again, Sherry, for opening us up. I know when I started volunteering there, Sherry was out there. She was training new social workers. You know, Piers is always just a bright spot in my life. I've been there since the early 2000s volunteering as a parent educator and adolescent parenting mentor. Never in childcare. I knew better. You know, and it just progressed until, you know, I became the director. And so I appreciate that. Again, I'm Tandria Leach. We have invited you guys here not only just to have breakfast and cupcakes, but to celebrate the history of Piers and all the milestones that has happened throughout the years. I hope you guys had a chance to take a look at our display outside. It had some information about all three of our programs, our parenting education, our adolescent parenting program, our child care program, but we also have our brand new TASCO board out there as well, which is Turning Adversity into Success for Children in Onslow. It is a city-county partnership task force about eliminating child abuse and neglect in Onslow County, and we have some wonderful partners. If you're a partner of TASCO or you're on TASCO, raise your hands for me, because I know we have several. Woohoo! You guys are fabulous, and we're hoping that the whole community starts seeing so many of us TASCO members out in the community teaching about resiliency and darkness to light. And if your agencies haven't been trained, you contact us and we will get you guys trained. Just making that plug there. On the table tents, you will see there's a small history. I could not fit the whole history of Piers on the table tent. So we've picked out some items of our history, as well as on our website, we have the history. But I will tell you, I got some of it wrong. I know, it's hard, but I admit when I'm wrong. I was able to have the pleasure of talking to Miss Nancy Cowperwaith, who was our very first director last week with her son, and she gave me so much more details about our history, and so I appreciate that, and I will be making some changes to our history some. I tried to piece our history as much as I possibly could. So Piers, we not only offer just our services, and we offer all these services for free in the community, but we also have fundraising events to help us fund all of our programs. So you might have seen the save the dates when you were checking in, because our next fundraiser is going to be the Masquerade Ball, and if you haven't enjoyed that, you guys need to come out to the Masquerade Ball. Isn't it fun, Robin? It's exciting. I love the Masquerade Ball. I didn't want to give you guys the whole stats for Piers, but since I've been the director for Piers since 2017, the peer education program has served over 1,800 parents. Miss Katie, I know you're tired from working nights. Our adolescent parenting program has served 181 teens, moms and dads, as well as their children. And then our child care program has served over 350 unduplicated children, which means some of our kids that come to our child care, they come more than one time, and so they're not recounted. So that's just the unduplicated numbers that we serve in our child care, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. We have had the pleasure of having 850 volunteers since I have been the director. Guys, 850 volunteers, and they have accumulated over 12,000 hours, which was a cost savings of over $287,000. I know United Way is happy because we report all of our volunteer hours. But that is a lot. It's astounding because, guys, we serve people at Onslow with probably more volunteers and interns than we do paid staff, which is the way Miss Nancy originally wanted it, was all volunteers. First off, I appreciate all of our volunteers and our interns. Since I've started, we have helped 45 interns with their bachelor's and master's degree at Piers. And I know that we've had some of them in here that have been my interns, so thank you guys for being here. Now think back. So when I was doing this, I was thinking, what in the world was going on in 1977? Y'all, I'm bad. I didn't know who the president was. I had to look it up. President Carter, he was our president at the time. You know what stood out to me from the 70s? Star Wars. Star Wars was coming out, so if you're a Star Wars fan, you know, Star Wars was at the movie theaters in 1977 during the time that Piers opened their doors in July of 1977. You might have been fancy enough to drive a Pinto car, you know. As a social worker, we have to do what we got to do. You might have been watching Good Times or Happy Days on television, or Wonder Woman, you know, all those wonderful TV dramas that they had going on. Or if you had a special house, you had an Atari, didn't you? How many of you guys had an Atari? I know my brothers were fighting over that Atari. We've come a little bit of ways, haven't we, since 1977, right? So you might ask, why did Piers start? Well, I will say her sons were able to get a little video clip of Miss Nancy.
As a Navy nurse at Camp Pendleton, I took care of a number of children in pediatrics who had been injured at the hands of their parents. And I'll never forget little Jill and Jane, 6-week-old twins, who were in traction at opposite ends of the same little crib. Yes, I actually want to write up a program to help families. I started out with some of my favorite words, which were rapport, empathy, and I said, parent, preschool, education, empathy, rapport, and support. And it spelled out, I hyphenated the parent in the preschool, and it came out peers. I said, oh, that could be the name of a program. So I went to all my officers' wives' friends that I really respected and knew had different talents, and asked them if they'd help me run a program. I went and talked to the local Baptist church right near the entrance to the base, asked them if they would have any space for me to run a program. And I told the parents that I was out to help children, but not children alone, that through their parents I could help the children, and through the children I could help the parents. And so I told them the name that I had given it, the Peers Program, and the space that I had. I said, we just take it as we come, we grow as we can.
So, guys, there's so much more to Miss Nancy's story, and y'all are going to have to look it up on my website when I finish it. But Miss Nancy was working on her project at the same time the community with Miss Sue Applewhite, Dr. Joe Chorley, and a committee of people were frantic about this whole new federal law called CAPTA, Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act. And it is still around today. So basically what that is in 1974, CAPTA came around about a federally focused program on preventing and responding to child abuse and neglect, trying to make it nationwide. What were we going to do about it? And Onslow County community members were all on board, and they had a committee. They met together. They were working on it at the same time. Miss Nancy saying to her husband, I know you're fixing to go on your float, but I need a week. And she went and put herself in a hotel room on base, locked herself away, and she wrote the Peers program. And so combining efforts was the birth of Peers Family Development Center. So it's really wonderful that she had the foresight as a nurse, and then she went back to school for her master's in counseling, along with the community members who were trying to combine and see what could we do for everyone. How are you? And I'm sure
I just want to say
yes.
the name that you need to put in that list.
Okay.
Mark Blocky.
Mark Blocky. Okay.
I'm Joe Chorley, by the way.
Yes, I know who you are. I didn't see you coming in.
Mark Blocky is a child psychiatrist, and he volunteered his time at the mental health center. This is 77 when the program got started. This was in his downtown 215 Mill Avenue. He was a child psychiatrist. He's now in Texas, still practicing. But a lot of these ideas came up because we were working with DSS children. And I called Mark the other day to let him know about this. Left him a voicemail. He called me back in my voicemail. I called him back. That's the last I've heard. But I did want him to know that this was going on. And he volunteered his time to train and was really, really bright, really good with children. I just wanted to.
We're going to have to exchange numbers so I can get more history from you. I am history buff. I love history. Thank you, Dr. Joe Chorley. So parenting is difficult. Right? Children do not come with manuals when they leave the hospital. You don't get a how-to book. And every day with temperaments and changes in the environment that's going on locally, things happen. Parenting is difficult, and we all need a little bit boost. I remember when my kids became teenagers, I come crying to Heidi Bauer, who was the director of Peers at the time. I said, I don't know what to do with these teenagers. What do you do? She says, well, you can't give them back. She's like, they're yours. You're going to take a parenting class. And she put me in a parenting class. I was volunteered there, but I had never done the parenting class for teens. It opened my eyes to how do I parent my teenagers and how do I get through this with boys. And so, we all need that little boost sometimes, right? And that's what Peers is here for. We're there to help with a guiding hand, to help with their parenting education. Even during COVID, we had a billboard up for people. If you needed some help, just to call. Miss Katie would field phone calls and talk to people about, okay, what else can you do with your kids while you're stuck at home for 24 hours a day with them? What is going on? And she would just help give them parenting boosters is what we called them. Because again, through COVID was a whole new thing with parenting, right? We were all stuck at home. Well, I wasn't, but they were all stuck at home with their kids. And so we had to adjust to that. And so we did videos. And we posted them, what kind of different activities could you do with your children? Sometimes you just have to think outside of the box when it comes to raising children. So I also want to say we value all our partnerships and agencies that we work with, our community partners. DSS is one of our biggest supporters, as well as our referral sources, so we appreciate that. Carrie and Susan are here, and I appreciate you guys for being here. And you know, we couldn't do what we do without that support from county commissioners to DSS, the health department, anybody here that's in this room and beyond. We could not do what we do without you guys. We do feel at the staff, from the staff of Onslow Peers Program, that without the commitment for you coming to our rescue when it comes to fundraisers, to if we're having a community event and we need something, like my little step today, thank you, Clay. You know, those little boosts that we need, we get them from you, and we do appreciate that. There are some other names that I do want to mention today. Miss Sue Applewhite, she was the deputy director, I guess is what the term was then, or assistant director is what the paperwork called her when I looked in the history papers of Peers, who did work with getting with Nancy, having a place of how can Peers, DSS support Peers. And out of all the records, I always seen Miss Nancy's name and Miss Sue's name everywhere. And if y'all did not get a chance to meet Miss Sue, she was a wonderful soul. I have talked to her daughter Jennifer quite a bit, but you know, she was a wonderful fixture in this community for many a time, many a year. She started out as a secretary and ended as the director at DSS. So she went high in that range of different jobs. Volunteers, Miss Ruby Valentine. So when we were talking to Miss Nancy last week, she asked, did we know about Miss Ruby? And Miss Ruby was already put into my speech to talk about Miss Ruby. I remember when I was volunteering with Miss Ruby would say, she'd grab two kids on one side, each of her sides. She'd say, get me my rocking chair and bring it on out here to the front porch. And she'd be rocking those babies during parenting classes. But I did not know that she was one of the very first Peers volunteers. And she volunteered all the way up through to Miss Louise Biller's time. So she volunteered for a very long time at Peers. Unfortunately, she's left us now, but you know, I appreciate that. She was a fixture. The babies loved her. The staff loved her. She was just a one-of-a-kind volunteer. I'm going to try to say this name right. April Serpuric. And her parents are here, if you guys would stand, John and Catherine. April was a volunteer here at Peers as a teenager and unfortunately died in a car accident. We do have a plaque that's outside, and it's actually the plaque that goes in my office that we keep her in our memories. We always have teenage volunteers all the way up to, you know, older volunteers. And it doesn't matter the age. If you want to volunteer at Peers, you know, after your background checks, we let you volunteer. I mean, we've had Miss Melissa here, was our last teen volunteer, and she's off now to NC State, and we do support them. And so we want to just say thank you to April's parents, John and Catherine, because they still support Peers financially to this day. And you just don't know how much that means to us, and we appreciate that. And thank you for coming. So I won't try to cry because Megan's already been crying. So I did have Dr. Joe Chorley in my speech, but he introduced himself. So I do appreciate Dr. Cho for being here. And I know that Sherry had already said for the board members and staff to stand up. But our interns and volunteers weren't. So can y'all wave if you've been an intern at Peers or a volunteer at Peers as well? We appreciate you guys. That's right. That's right, Sue. We appreciate you guys. So I will tell you, there's a list on the table out there with all of the directors' names, but I just want to go through them real quick with you guys. From 1977 to 1987, Miss Nancy Calperwith. Did I say it right? There you go. The first director and program developer, and these are her sons, Daniel and William. If y'all can stand. Miss Nancy is in Arizona and couldn't travel. Then we had from 87 to 91, Miss Catherine Alvin, and in 91, Carolyn Cobb. And when I talked to Carolyn, she was like, I was the Pierce director when Onslow County was like a ghost town. It was during Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and she's like, volunteers left us, people left us, everyone around the town, there was nobody around. That must have been why she went on base to work, I'm not sure. But then we had Miss Louise Biller from 92 to 2002. And then Miss Heidi Bauer, who's my mentor, she taught me a lot, 2002 to 2011. And then Miss Melanie Jordan from 2011 to 2017. And then I have been there since. I have to be there for several more years. We've got to make Pierce bigger and better. That's my next goal, guys. So yeah, with all your help. Right, Hans, you're going to help me when you retire? That was supposed to be a yes. And you may have, when we were talking to Miss Nancy's stuff, she was hoping that the original Pierce logo, we would have that. We don't have that. Pierce was in the back of Midville Primitive Baptist Church, and then it moved to 2 different offices on New Bridge Street that they rented, and then through someone's wisdom, they bought a house. And then I do know that Louise Biller paid that house off before she left as the executive director, because she said, we don't need to pay no more rent. This is bad. So thank you for Louise. But we did change the logo from like the building blocks and such to a tree. And it's a tree with little handprints. Tree of Life is really important to me. Because I really feel like the tree represents us as people. You know, the roots of the tree grounds us. It's who we are. It's our past. Where did we come from? The stem of the tree is us right now, us in the moment. It defines who we are. And the branches are ever so reaching, and they're so diverse in all the different directions that they're going. Guess what, guys? We have choices in life. It's our future, and we get to make those choices, and sometimes we might not make great choices, but we can change those directions. So I want to say thank you to Onslow County for being a funder, the United Way, who is here, NCDHHS, and the city of Jacksonville, who is here. We do appreciate the opportunities of being able to have grants from you guys. We also have civic groups here. Kiwanis. If you're a Kiwanis member, because I know we have some in the house, Kiwanis members, Kiwanis of Onslow supports us as well. And the Jacksonville JCs I saw. And guess what, guys? These are the guys, Jacksonville JCs gave us the $2,000 down, the seed money for Pierce to help develop it for Miss Nancy. And apparently, people couldn't say no to Nancy. They just gave Nancy what she needed. So they gave her the seed money, and then United Way backed it up with another grant. So that was great. And I want to say one other thank you. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina is out in the hallway. And so, I think Logan is in here somewhere. Oh, hey. So they are our presenting sponsors, so thank you guys. Modern Exterminating, just Miss Julie Sewell is just a fabulous supporter of our adolescent parenting program. They always support Pierce. And the Modern Exterminating staff has been phenomenal with working with us. And then Golden Corral also. Thank you for being a sponsor today. I hope you guys have enjoyed some of the pictures. We had so many pictures, he just had to put them on a continuous loop. And Kevin in Onslow County, I'm not sure your job title, communications. You have done fabulous with the pictures that we had. And we are going to, I was going to introduce someone else. We had an emergency, so our next guest speaker couldn't come. JPD Officer Weber was going to be here this morning. I ran into her accidentally while I was doing parenting classes one night, and we had to call for JPD to come to our assistance at Pierce. And so when she got done with the situation that was going on, and the mom was calm that we were talking with. She looked at me and she goes, Piers saved my life. I was like, what do you mean Piers saved your life? She goes, without Piers, I would not be where I'm at today. Now here this girl is with her badge and her gun on her side, looking all professional and wonderful to work with. And I was like, what happened? She goes, I was a teen mom. She was like, without Miss Sue Kellum, I would not be here. Miss Sue Kellum worked for over 10 years at Piers as a CSSA. She transported Officer Weber back and forth to doctor appointments and other things that she needed, got her the training that she needed, and she still has her son. She's doing wonderful. She's a success, and I wish she could have been here. I don't do her story justice, but we appreciate, first off, that she came to my aid that night, and second, that she told me about Miss Sue, because that night I was crying, because I love Miss Sue. I only got to work with her as a director for a brief time, but I got to work with her as a volunteer for a long time. So, all right, I would like to have Miss Katie Lemaire, our parenting educator, come up. Now, Miss Katie.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Katie Lemaire, and I have worked at Piers on and off, since 2002. I worked in parent education. I was a daycare provider. I was a CSSA with the adolescent parenting program. I was a volunteer coordinator. I kind of did a little of everything because Piers has my heart. I'm all emotional today, sorry. Tandra asked me to talk about our parent education program, Parent Education Enhancement. Yes, that is PEE, sorry. I don't know how that happened. But I'm so excited about our parent education program. Our participants, I can't even begin to describe what kind of people we serve and the effect they've had on me personally. We have the ability to do 14 different curriculums at Piers. We have a regular schedule we put out, so we only do really about 8 or 10, and then we do special ones for special clients that need whatever we need, we do for them. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing. Tandra mentioned TASCO, and we do the resilience screening, which if anybody knows, have ever heard about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and how that affects people and how those traumas in childhood affect their adult lives. And so we incorporate that, and this year we're incorporating that training with every single parenting class we're doing at Piers. But I have been doing it for our early childhood nurturing class for probably about a year now. And I wanted to tell you about one gentleman who came to the early childhood nurturing class this past year. I'll call him Bob. I can remember Bob. So Bob came in. It was a class about maybe 10 or 12 people the first night. And Bob sat way in the back, had his sweatshirt on, didn't make eye contact. Second week, we had a few less people. Third week, we settled in with, I think there was 7 or 8. We did resilience on week 3. Bob wept. Week 4, Bob moved up one row, and he was making eye contact. Well, the early childhood nurturing class, we do a family tree about week 7. Everybody has to stand up and talk about their family tree. By that week, Bob was in maybe the 2nd row, had moved up. There were a lot of women in that class, and very supportive women. They got very close with each other. Well, Bob did his family tree, and we learned that night that as a child, Bob witnessed his mother stabbing his father 40 some odd times. When the women heard this, everybody was hugging poor Bob. Well, Bob sat in the first row the next week. And Bob finished his test and passed with like a 95. And he came and he hugged me that night and he said, Miss Katie, he said, thank you for not judging me and letting me tell my story for the first time. Those are the kind of stories we see at Piers. People come and we love them. We love them, we don't judge them. They're part of our family. We teach them about being a parent. But, you know, if anybody has kids, you know, Tandria mentioned it, it is hard. My husband and I have 10, and holy crap, we've screwed up many times. I'm telling you, it's hard. We give them some new ideas, but first, before we can even do that, we have to teach them to forgive themselves. We've all made mistakes, and it's only by the grace of God any one of us didn't have CPS involvement. So we teach them how to forgive themselves, and we teach them that they are wonderful. And we teach them it's not what you did, it's what happened to you. So we work really hard at Piers to be that village. And we want to remind you all that at Piers, we are your village. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Katie. I remember staffing that when every week it was like, what happened last night? What happened last night? I live vicariously through Miss Katie telling me those stories from the night before of what happened in class, and it's just like, it just breaks your heart some days, and then it just makes your heart sing the next day. You know, it's just awesome. Miss Raquel Painter is the president of the United Way, and we're going to have her come up and talk with you for a few minutes about childcare and what they do for. Do you want me to move this stand?
Let me see how.
There you go, darling.
Oh, yeah, we might want to move that. We'll make this work. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for coming. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the partnership with United Way in Piers. United Way, if you guys don't know, our number one mission is to provide funding to our local nonprofits, especially to fill gaps in our community. And obviously, Piers fills a huge gap, especially when you look at our population. We've got a young population in Onslow County. You can't tell by looking at me or Tandra up here, but we've got a young population. I got a good friend, Vinu. She's got her podcast and TV show that's called Vinu Inspires. And she says we need to provide a childhood where children do not have to heal from. And I think Piers does that for Onslow County, especially with our young population and so much of the referrals coming from Department of Health and Human Services, that they are filling a gap that we desperately need here in our community. When you look at the education that they provide, you know, growing up, a lot of us thought the storks brought in the children and they had little manuals to go with them. But as we get older, we realize that's not the case. Each child is different. Each child's need is different. And as a parent, because I know there's a lot of parents in this room, you attest every day you got to make tough decisions for your children. And being a young parent who don't have the life experiences that some of us may have as we have children, it's difficult. And you may make a wrong decision, but it don't mean that the child cannot heal from that. And I think Piers, Tandra and her staff provides that for our community. So I definitely want to thank the staff for doing that, because parents need help, especially with our community being military. A lot of our military members are young and they don't have family here to help them. So we provide funding for Tandra and her programs. A few of them, of course, is the education, because we really do feel education is key. Educating, teaching parents how to be good parents, how to properly raise your children. They provide that need. They also provide that respite childcare. If you guys been in the house during COVID, for, like Tandra mentioned, 24 hours a day with your child, you need that respite care. So they provide that for our community members free of charge for that. And then the new initiative, which I'm proud to be a member of, and I see so many other members in the room that are part of that, is the TASCO program, which is the new initiative. It has really brought the community together. You're talking members from base, from the hospital, from the county government, from the city government, from the municipalities to the nonprofits. It is a huge task force that's working to eliminate child abuse in our community. And we can't do that without the education. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting peers. And we are definitely going to have a community where our children do not have to heal from. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Raquel. There is a small video that we've put together today from our child care. Some of our children were able to sing for us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Piers. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
And there are many pictures following, so you can look at those pictures. I did want to have you guys see that we had a plaque made with all of the directors. We've never had anything that said who our directors were at Piers. So we had this made for our directors, and it will be in our living room. So I urge anyone and everyone who wants to learn more about Piers to stop by. We love taking people on a tour of Piers, talking about our programs, talking about how we can help you with the families that you're working with. If we can't help you, we're going to find the resource for them. We work with one place. We've sent a couple of people to one place this week, which we appreciate. We will find the resource for them if it is not located at Piers. I will also draw attention, since we do have some professionals in the room, you may have seen some formula. There's a shortage of formula. We keep formula at Piers. We are provided that free of charge, and we give it to community members free. So if they are in need of that, please let us know, and we will help. We even trolled Facebook if somebody's looking for formula. If you need it, come see us. Okay? And then again, I just want to end this by saying thank you again for the people who are visiting us from out of town, people who have supported us long-term and short-term. Thank you, and enjoy your day. And before you go, we have cupcakes. It's all about the cake. So please have you some cupcakes. You can eat them here. Oh, you can eat the cupcakes here, or you can take them with you. You will see there is a blue ribbon for child abuse and neglect. And if people are wondering about the balloons, it's supposed to stand for 45. Because the balloons might look a little bit odd to people, but it's 45 years. And we hope to have 45 more years at Piers.